Our present subject is very obscure, but from its importance must be discussed at some length, and it is always advisable to perceive clearly our ignorance.
Of course, we all want to know how other people are feeling. Sometimes we need to know, like, are they happy or sad, angry or scared? How can you actually tell? I mean, emotions are private and we don't have to show them. I mean, if I wanted to, I could hide my feelings and put on a facade. It's not as if we can read someone's inner life like a book. Maybe we can never really know what's going on under the surface, or even if they feel anything at all.
But we all express emotions, don't we? It's what we do. It's how we make sense of each other. We don't just see a blank mask, we see expressions on people's faces. If we catch even a hint of a smile or a brief frown, it means something to us. It's a lot harder to know how someone is really thinking, but surely you can see how someone's feeling by looking at the face.
Okay, but how do we know that emotions are expressed that way? How do we know that a smiling face expresses genuine happiness?
Well, I smile when I'm happy. Why would other people be any different? Surely it's a human characteristic.
Yeah, but people smile when they're not happy too. I know I can put on a convincing smile even if I'm not feeling happy. So expressions aren't reliable, are they?
But you can tell a genuine smile from a polite smile or a fake smile. When we feel real joy, we can't help but smile. And when we smile in that way, it can't be faked. It's all in the eyes. It's hard to describe, but I think you can just tell.
The study of expression is difficult owing to the movements being often extremely slight and of a fleeting nature. A difference may be clearly perceived, and yet it may be impossible, at least I've found it so, to state in what the difference consists.
When you think about it though, people don't always smile when they're happy. I mean, you can be happy without smiling. At least I know I can.
Everyone smiles when they're happy. Everyone, everywhere, from every culture. But we have different rules about when one should or shouldn't do it. If you take away cultural difference, people are all the same. We all have the same basic facial expressions and emotions. If you look closely, you'll see that we can't hide those feelings. And if you know how to look, you can detect the underlying emotions.
Okay, so we're talking about emotions as if they're only displayed on the face, but what about the rest of the body? Someone's bodily demeanour says a lot about how they're feeling too. Imagine coming across someone with a massive smile on their face and a slouched, despondent posture. Well, how would you make sense of that?
But surely that's just unusual. Weird, even. We don't usually receive such mixed signals. When the face and the body tells the same story, you just have to trust your own judgment. We know what the emotions look like. the human body is the best picture of the human soul. To depict an emotion, an artist paints a body. If we didn't know what the emotions look like, we couldn't understand that.
I had hoped to derive much aid from the great masters in painting and sculpture, who were such close observers. Accordingly, I have looked at photographs and engravings of many well-known works, but with few exceptions have not thus profited. The reason, no doubt, is that in works of art, beauty is the chief object, and strongly contracted facial muscles destroy beauty. The story of the composition is generally told with such wonderful force and truth by skillfully given accessories.
But you know, with paintings and drawings, the way emotion is depicted has a lot to do with context. If you put an expressive face in a meaningful situation, the surroundings can tell us what emotion is being shown. And what about film? Not only have you got actors on set emoting for the camera, but you've got music, and the cues are all there in the music. To know how a character feels, you just have to listen. The soundtrack's designed to make you feel a certain way and to manipulate your feelings.
And life is no movie. Everyday life has no soundtrack. Expression in real life is not like an expression in film, nor is it like expression in painting. We want to know the feelings of those around us, and we go on their faces, just as we do with sculpture. There we have expression unadorned.
But expression in sculpture looks nothing like expression in reality. Without context, sculptors exaggerate and distort to get their point across. But cinema shows just how important context is. Context is key. Acting looks like acting. Editing, cutting, pure cinematics. It's how things are presented to us. That's what conveys emotion. And then there's genre, which shows us what context to expect and therefore how to read an actor's face. Anger in a kitchen sink drama doesn't look like anger in the Wild West. fear in a psychological thriller is not going to look the same as fear in a teenage rom-com.
But a smile is a smile. It shows joy. That we think this is no mere prejudice.
But expressions aren't automatic outpourings of emotion. They're more deliberate than that. When someone pulls a sad face, it's like an invitation to be comforted. And when someone's angry, it's like a threat. Expressions definitely give us some kind of understanding of a person's state of mind, but knowledge of their intentions, not of their emotions.
Dogs, when a little impatient, often make a high piping note through their noses, which at once strikes us as plaintive. But how difficult it is to know whether the sound is essentially plaintive or only appears so in this particular case, from our having learnt by experience what it means.
Ultimately though, we see faces as emotional. When someone's face looks joyful or sad, it's not an illusion. Why would someone invite you to comfort them if they weren't sad? Why would they communicate displeasure or threat if they weren't angry? We rely on these connections to help us understand each other and their emotions.
But are they reliable? Can we trust them? You can't see inside someone's head and know what they're truly feeling. For all we know, others may have very different feelings to our own. They might even lack these emotions or any conscious experience at all. We want to believe that we all have an inner life because that's what we need to interact with people. But isn't that just a preconception, a prejudice? Because ultimately, our judgment of other people's emotions are unreliable.
Okay, if it is true that our reaction to subtle facial expressions is inconstant, what about when someone completely loses it? Howls with laughter. Or, on the other extreme, is in complete despair, heartbroken. Those faces show absolute joy or grief. They are undoubtedly from within and they are real. There is no more reason to doubt this than there is to doubt the solidity of the world around us. It is a purely intellectual scepticism with no ground in everyday social life.
Our present subject is very obscure, but from its importance must be discussed at some length, and it is always advisable to perceive clearly our ignorance.